revealing the Sharia is a crime because the Sharia is secret, and to reveal it is the death penalty because it is considered treason.
Right. So it's a
So,
closely held, guarded secret for the top of the top. Yeah.
correct,
Okay.
correct. And we'll be discussing all of that. This is from the Reliance of the Traveler, which is the most popular, most well known Islamic Sharia book in the world. This book is very possibly on your neighbor's bookshelf. It's one that he's bought and read. Now, understand that various Islamic governments, Pakistan, Qatar, amongst others, have prioritized the translation of certain books which are considered to be major works in the Islamic world. This was one of the very first Sharia books, if not the first Sharia book, to be translated into English because of its importance. Now that we're discussing it, Muslims will try and say, oh, it's not important. Oh, it's a 14th century book. Oh, it was only followed by one guy who lived in 1292 on a street corner in Cairo, but he's dead now and no one reads it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that is absolutely not true because this is the most well endorsed Islamic law book in the world. It's endorsed by, amongst others, Al Azhar as being 100% fully compliant with Sunni Islamic law. It is fully Sunni Islamic. And then also, it is endorsed by numerous other Islamic organizations as being completely authentic. And so, if a Quran is being purchased for someone, it is obligatory that the person be Muslim. The same is true of books of hadith and books containing the words and deeds of the early Muslims. So it is obligatory that the person be Muslim, right? If they read the Quran. Now, Quran in this context means any work that contains some of the Quran, even a slight amount. This ruling holds for any religious books, even the Tabaqat of Shar'ani. Now, this Tabaqat is a series of biographical sketches of Muslims that discusses famous Muslim scholars through the ages.
Mhm.
Now, the cat's out of the bag. Unfortunately, the internet and so on, we have access to the sources, but this is the law.
Well, and also, Lloyd, I was just thinking like the first prescription as well. I mean, surely if you really kind of knew what you believed in was true and correct and all that, you wouldn't want the only people purchasing the Qurans to be Muslims, right? You'd want to spread that as far and wide and be like, that's the way we can spread our religion. People reading the book and then, feeling what you're meant to feel and believing it, and it's the truth and it's the word of God
Yes,
and
but
it's
it's
divinely inspired, blah, blah, blah.
but
But
it's
then the
meant
fact,
to be interpreted through a scholar. You're meant to learn
true.
it from a scholar, not through your own reading.
Exactly, of course, because what happens is when you read it on your own volition, you end up leaving Islam because you read it at face value and you realize it for what it is. Especially even when you, more than just reading it, digging into the tafsirs even and seeing like the detail behind it. More often than not, makes it worse. But just from what you've shown me in terms of the fact that the person has to be a Muslim and all of that, like this immediately to me when I see this slide, it's just lending itself towards when you ask the question sacred or secret, this is completely implying secret and secrecy to me.
Correct. And yeah, there'll be other rulings as we go through. We'll show how this ties into other rulings,
Right.
right? But understand, for instance, it says here, this is a chapter called Holding One's Tongue, section R 8.0, within the Reliance of the Traveler, which has thousands of laws about everything from zakat to purification to prayer to how to pray in the mosque, how to lead the prayer, the kinds of prayer, the words of the prayer. Now, understand that this has 26 different chapters and they cover everything in the life of a Muslim, from how to walk into the toilet, which foot goes first, what prayer
Yeah.
you have to say.
Yeah.
Now, all of these things we know are practices that Muslims follow,
Mm.
and thus they are accurately representing what Islam is. And then, of course, this also happens to have things which are very embarrassing for Muslims. And then they
Yes.
want to claim the book as false. But if 99% of this book is accurate, then why is the rest false? What's wrong with the
Exactly.
rest?
Exactly.
Right. Now, notice it says they may not give directions to wrongdoers, and doing that includes showing the way to policemen and tyrants when they are going to commit injustice and corruption. Now, think France,
According to Muslims.
Islam.
Yes.
Yes.
Islam. Exactly.
So think of the Bataclan. Think of the massacre that happened there. These men hid for 3 months in Molenbeek, and they weren't hiding. They were walking around. They were protected by the community who did not speak, because the policemen who were looking for these men who'd committed no crime. Remember, they'd killed people that, according to Islamic law, deserved to be killed. And we
Mm.
can look into those laws in the future. But understand, these policemen would be going to commit corruption. Therefore, they should not speak to the police,
Exactly.
right? And also, Muslims may not teach questions of sacred law to those learning it in bad faith, who do not want the knowledge to apply it in their lives, but for an unworthy purpose. So we are learning this for an unworthy purpose.
Yeah, I mean that's an arbitrary measure of that in the first place. But yeah, again, Lloyd, pure secrecy here. We're not even meant to be privy to this, is
Yes.
what that's implying.
Yeah. So there's this hierarchy. There's this hierarchy of knowledge, and it starts at the top, and there's this pyramid, and it works its way down. So they're not to teach sacred law to those learning it in bad faith, to deconstruct it. So you're not allowed to learn it unless you want to become a Muslim or a better Muslim,
Yeah.
right?
You can't
But
use this in bad faith to go against them, basically. And also, they're
correct,
only going to let you into the deepest depths of this if you are one of them. Otherwise, this is completely concealed from you.
correct.